Kanda in Accra, and also on our website 3news.com. Coming up this evening, Afari Military Hospital blows back on NPP as sharp disagreements emerge within the rank of the botched project. We have details of that particular story for you in a moment.
Any attempt to use the back door to pay this newly generated justified amount of 85 million United States dollars can only be described by the popular Ghanaian cliche, create, loot, and share.
Right, there has been a reaction to the NPP's press conference by a former member of the Defense and Interior Committee and former flag bearer aspirant of the NPP, Ken Ejapong, to these assertions. Details of that coming up shortly. Also in the bulletin, Ken Ofori-Attah gets legal cover to permanently reside in the United States of America as court puts immigration issues to bed. But what does this mean for extradition processes being pursued against him by Ghana, his home country? We'll delve into that and update you in a moment. And talking about Ghanaians elsewhere, the clock is winding down for Ghana's crucial first World Cup encounter with Panama. The participation of Deputy Captain Thomas Partey is up for discussion. A few hours ago, about an hour and a half ago, the issue was in court. The judge has asked for time to consider his decision or a final verdict, which should be coming our way in about an hour or two. We would update you when that does come. Will Thomas Partey be in Canada and join the rest of the team? Moments in a few minutes would give you updates on that. This is live from our studio here at Afari in Accra. You're listening to Hot Edition. Let's bring you some news summaries with Grace Hamwa Ajiman. Hello, Grace.
Hi, Martin. The Ghana Gold Board has signed a landmark agreement with the Forestry Commission and the Ghana Armed Forces to begin the reclamation and restoration of portions of the heavily degraded Tano Nimri Forest Reserve, committing approximately 35 million cedis to the project. Speaking at a signing ceremony in Accra on Tuesday, June 16, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Gold Board, Sami Jemfi, described the initiative as the first major reclamation project to be undertaken by the newly established institution under its National Reclamation and Environmental Restoration Program. Away from that, the minority on the Defense and Interior Committee has rejected claims that the contractor working on the Afari Military Hospital is owed $85 million, stating that the true amount owed the contractor is only $500,000. Deputy Ranking Kofi Amankwame says the $85 million claim by the Deputy Defense Minister, Broja Jemfi, is only an attempt to abuse public purse, vowing the minority's readiness to block any such payment. And before we go, to demonstrate his conviction that education remains the single most profound investment any society can make in securing its future, Member of Parliament for Sekendi Nyameche Blay Ama has launched a 3 million cedis basic schools renovation project. The project is aimed at improving teaching and learning conditions across the constituency. That's it for the summaries, Martin.
Thank you very much, Grace. Let's settle for the details of our stories now. We are starting from issues about the Afari Hospital. In a moment, we'll also update you on what's been happening with Thomas Partey's issue in the U.S., whether or not he will get his Canadian visa. Also, the special prosecutor has waded into the decision we heard today having to do with Ken Ofori-Attah, Ghana's former finance minister, who has been permitted by the United States to stay in that country, although he is needed in Ghana to answer questions or help with investigations into some malfeasance, alleged malfeasance under his watch when he was finance minister. He's been out of the country and is more or less seeking asylum in the U.S. as a result of what his lawyers and he himself have described as persecution of Ken Ofori-Attah. We'll delve into that specific issue in a moment. But let's start from the Ashanti region, where it appears that the blame game on the delayed closure of the Afari Military Hospital is not ending anytime soon. This is becoming the minority in. This is because the minority in Parliament has rejected recent claims by the Deputy Minister for Defence, Ernest Broja-Gyamfi, regarding the Afari Military Hospital, accusing the government of attempting to burden the public purse with what it describes as an unjustified $85 million payment demand for the completion of the hospital facility. Addressing the media on Tuesday, the Member of Parliament for Ichiwan Kwawoma, Kofi Amankwa Menu, said that the financial claims linked to the project were unjustified. We'll bring you that insert in a moment where the minority has been reacting to reports that the current administration is saying that they need in excess of 85 million Ghana cedis to be able to complete the Afari hospital. It's a military hospital in the Ashanti region, which was started by the NDC government, and 15 months into office, there is pressure mounting from the minority side, the NPP, asking the current administration to be able to complete that hospital, or at least operationalize it. As to whether they'll be able to do that before time is up, or at least to bring clarity as to when exactly that hospital facility can be concluded or completed and opened for the public to start getting medical access there, is a different conversation. But as we speak now, there seems to be a back and forth regarding this particular development, where the minority is saying that they have heard reports about the NDC saying they need some $85 million to complete the Afari Military Hospital. There have been reactions to that, and in a moment we'll try and get you these reactions. But the former Ascent Central Member of Parliament and a leading member of the NPP, Ken Ejapong, says that the NPP is also to blame for the delayed operationalization of the health facility. Let's listen to Ken Ejapong on this particular issue.
When we decided to go and inspect Afari,
you know, I was the chairman for Defense and Interior. This hospital, NDC, it was started by President Kufuor, the locations and all those things. NDC came to start it whenever. When we came, I'm an MPP, but I have to tell you the truth. We're talking about Ghana and nobody. We didn't do anything. Read my lips. I'm telling you the gospel truth. I was the chairman for Defense and Interior. When we decided to go and inspect Afari, they stopped us. We didn't go. So I heard somebody talking 15 months. Has Afari Hospital been there for 15 months? We were there for 8 years. You didn't do it. Don't blink your eye. You see, we are not doing politics. I'm speaking the truth. This is Ghana. Stop that. We will criticize NDC, we will criticize MPP. That's the only way to go. I was chairman. NDC started this. Why didn't you complete it? You were there for 8 years, you didn't complete it. When somebody comes for 15 months, then you have a problem. Please, give me a break. Ghana, we should love our nation and stop playing politics with everything and do the right thing for the country. And that is what I'm doing. You see, when I mentioned MPP, he was blinking his eye. Why do you want me to criticize NDC and leave MPP? When I know that both parties, they didn't do the right thing for the country. I will end here.
And that is Tough Talking Kennedy Ejapong, who was the Member of Parliament for Ascent Central and also was the chair of the Interior Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. More or less adding his bite to the conversation about the Afari Hospital, the military hospital in the Ashanti region, which should have been operationalized at least long ago. But as we speak this has become a political football, and both sides are kicking it the hardest, especially the minority, whom you just had Kenny Japan criticized for not taking any step at all. In fact, he just indicated that when the Parliamentary Committee on the Security, Interior and Defense Committee decided to visit, at least to give themselves first-hand information as regards how far the hospital has reached, and probably put a report together and expedite its operationalization. The NPP in power did not allow the committee in Parliament to visit the hospital. So he says that doing politics with issues as important as a hospital facility does not augur well for anybody, because health does not know political coloration, and you might end up being the one in need of some health assistance. And so if you want to do politics with issues like this, you might be shooting yourself in the foot. But would, just take a step away from that now and go to Parliament and engage a parliamentary correspondent who has been following today's proceedings for us. Christian Yali, a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. So we know that the House has been busy today. I'm sure a bit of conversations have also come up regarding tomorrow's Black Stars game. Give us a wrap of what has happened or what has gone on today in Parliament, Christian.
Yes, for members of Parliament, the Black Stars possess a great opportunity and has the capability to excel at the FIFA World Cup. In fact, even from last week, we have had MPs deliver different statements and contributions in that regard, urging the country to rally their support behind the Black Stars as they play their first or their opener against Panama tomorrow. But one other thing still on health that has come up today has been more or less like some confrontation between the minority leader and the health minister. The minority leader raised the issue concerning Ofori-Attah Teaching Hospital CEO, who was temporarily suspended after a notice was issued that the emergency ward was full and so could not admit any more patients. Now, we know the story, how it unfolded, and the suspension and the subsequent, notice of strike by doctors. Now, the minority leader, in her submission on the floor, indicated that at least this is Parliament. If such decisions were to be made, then the minister should have given some credence and some respect to the House to come before the House, more or less give advice or even involvement concerning such critical decisions that are made from time to time. And so the minority leader made that statement, which after that the minister responded and indicated that he does not need Parliament to take certain decisions almost every time. Now, he mentions that when you look at the law that establishes teaching hospitals, when the minister gives a directive, and in this case it is the president who gives the initial directive that under no circumstance should a patient be turned away under emergency situation. Even if it requires that the person is, looked after on the floor, that should be done. And so when that directive is given, it is the minister who implements it. And so the board of such a hospital like CAF does not need to overrule that directive and do their own thing. Now, he says that he invited the CEO in question. The CEO admitted that he erred, or the hospital erred in that direction, and that the suspension was to serve as a deterrent to other officials. He says that under no circumstance must any hospital administration close down a facility without recourse to the minister who implements any policy concerning the health sector. And so that is one crucial conversation. So Minister Kando has basically justified or defended the decision to suspend the chief executive of the Ofori-Attah Teaching Hospital and indicated that it is in the right direction to deter others from taking arbitrary decisions without involving their higher stakeholders in that regard. There are other issues that have come up concerning Agenda 111 as well, and basically the minister assuring that government is committed to completing them. As of now, we know that there are about 35 selected projects under Agenda 111, which are to be completed and operationalized in the first phase. And so government is seeking to serialize the remainder of the hospitals that are to be, taken care of. One includes the Bukor District Hospital in Ahanta West, which the MP asked a question about. There are other ones around Nasua and other, constituencies across the country. But as it's where right now, other statements are being made on the floor. There is one about xenophobic crisis in South Africa, which is to be delivered by the Majority Chief Whip, Roxanne Nelson Dafamapo, who is currently in the chamber and is expected to deliver that statement. It is expected that once, and as it were in parliamentary practice, whenever such statements are made, members will be invited from both sides to also give their contributions to that. So it's been a heavy day on the health sector, from the Afari Military Hospital to Agenda 1 to the Confanochi Teaching Hospital CEO, who was suspended, and the defense that the minister has provided today on the floor, Martin.
Right. That's an interesting wrap of what has happened. But just by way of reiteration, you said that the health minister defended the suspension order he gave the Confanochi Teaching Hospital CEO. And were there reactions to his defense of that decision?
In fact, when you listen to the minority side, they have held that itself has teething problems. Now, the minority leader mentions students who have been trained and are waiting to be recruited. Now, doctors, their salaries, their compensation, their allowances, all of those issues are there. And so he would have ordinarily expected that those are some of the issues that the ministry would take up head on instead of dealing in, because then the concern for the minority would be that, yes, no matter what, if there are no facilities to accommodate and that decision is made, then you don't suspend people, because you know that there are other issues that are causing the inability of the health facility to admit people to cater for. And so those are some of the reactions that you get from the minority MPs, who have the view that, yeah, some of those might come across as knee-jerk reactions that are not necessary.
Christian Yali, thank you for that report from Parliament. He's a parliamentary correspondent updating us on developments in the House and also giving us an update on that Confanochi Teaching Hospital CEO suspension. You know that debate has been up for some time. But let's stay in Parliament. This time around, we are speaking to Dr. Mark Nawani, who is the Member of Parliament for Nabdane and then also the Chair of Parliament's Select Committee on Health. Doc, good evening. Thank you for your time this evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, thank you for staying on all this while. To start with, we know that the issues of the Afari Hospital has come up for conversation again, and there seemed to be a key critical MPP voice that is more or less supporting the NDC by saying that at least the NDC took steps in their first administration under John Mahama. NPP didn't do anything at all, a party that he is a member of, and now the pressure being given the NDC in 15 months to operationalize the hospital is unfair. What do you make of his comments?
Well, the issue is simple, that for 8 good years, at 95% completion, that is Afari, the physical infrastructure, and about 60% with the mechanical structures. We now have a situation where we are not talking about 58% completion, the last assessment. And so we have moved down from the 95% to 58% after 8 years of neglect. And the cost of the project, as is assessed now, has seen an increase of $85 million. Let us remember that the initial cost of the Afari Hospital was at $180 million. And now it has seen an increase of about $85 million. And they claim that that is not true.
Yes, that is where the bone of contention is, and
the bone of contention. Look at the decrease from the 95% completion to about 58%, and apart from that, they are even saying that it's just left with 500,000. 500,000 cannot even buy an MRI machine. Please let us be just honest with ourselves. An MRI machine, buying and installing it is between $1 million to $5 million. And for a facility like Afari, how many of them did they purchase? Because remember that they were saying that it was 95% completed, which means that they had all this equipment on the ground. Some of this equipment were left at the port to rot, to rust, to the weather. And now they can be used.
Right.
Even medical machines, if you buy them and you're using them, within 5 to 10 years, you have to change. How much more equipment that has been abandoned to the weather for 10 good years? All this equipment, they are spoiled. The monitors, the ECGs, the X-ray machines, the oxygen setup, everything.
Okay, so let me understand what you're saying. You said that when NDC was leaving power, the hospital was about...
I don't want... all the things were there.
Yes, the hospital was about 85% complete.
They were at the hospital. We went to the hospital, myself, when we were in opposition. Afari, we visited there as a minority then. They were all there. That was around, I think, around 2022. They were all there for just installation. Yes.
Okay.
And so their argument that it's just over 500,000 is cannot be true and it's not true. That tells you that they have not gone there to assess anything.
Fair point.
It's just a quotation that they don't even know what they are talking about.
Okay. Doc, kindly hold on for me. I'll also bring in now Kofi Amankwame, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kwawoma. He came out today to say that $85 million being quoted by Deputy Defense Minister is outrageous, and that it's supposed to be, it seems like create, loot and share scheme the NDC government is trying to operate. Mr. Mankwame, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM. Mr. Amenu, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Great. So your colleague in Parliament, who is the chair of the Health Committee, Dr. Mark Ketnawani, says that your assessment, first of all, is flawed. You have not gone to the hospital to even assess so you can have a fair idea of how much is needed to operationalize the facility, and that you are just playing politics with a crucial national asset like this hospital. How do you respond to the fact that $500,000 being $500,000, yes, being put out by the NPP is also flawed? Is not the amount needed at the moment?
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. First of all, I think my brother must understand the terms of the contract. This contract was a turnkey project, and I believe he understands what it means to say a project is turnkey. So turnkey project of 180 million, and then an additional funds of 19.3 was added. We are here today still talking about the fact that this project is not finished and we need 85 million. So since when did the project stop being a turnkey project? But let me differ with my brother. I visited the hospital many times, and in fact, I have a letter from the contractor. In September of 2025, the contractor actually was asked to submit a plan for sectional handover of certain facilities, which facilities included the OPD, the trauma center, the mortuary, and the pharmacy. In fact, that was when he raised the issue that he needed the amount which, he submitted the claim of which was negotiated and and reduced to 3 million. He needed that amount to finish with the sewage system. As at December of 2024, when we were leaving office, that sewage system was about 50% complete. And please, let my brother understand that we do not just come out to spew out words. Whatever we spoke about are things or evidence that are captured and documented. When the NDC left office in 2016 or 2017, what we took over was at 40%. And then we took it to, in fact, September 2024, the project stood at 92.5% core hospital. These are facts, incontrovertible facts, and these are documented.
So where can Dr. Nawani, for instance, get these facts that you are putting out?
Let me come in. Can I come in?
Yes, please.
He quoted the contract sum as 180 million. That is a fact that the original contract was signed at 180 million. When they came to power in 2017, they asked all contractors to go off-site so that they will carry out what they call forensic auditing. And so the contractors stayed out of sight for not less than 3 years. Because when they were going to for the 2024 elections, that they started speaking to the contractor again. And by this time, all the equipment and everything that was imported, some of them even at the ports, were left to rot. I think what I'm saying. Honorable. And why is it that when they invited the contractor to do the handing over, why did the contractor refuse? The contractor refused to do the handing over. You invited him some few days to elections to do the handing over. They refused.
Dr. Nawani,
and after elections, they refused.
Dr. Nawani, let him reply to some of the questions you've asked.
Over, we never visited the site. It's something I will not accept, because I was the project implementation unit chair between 2021 and 2024. And do you know how many times I visited the site? And to say that we never visited the site and that we left everything to rot is something that is untrue, palpable falsehood. Please, it is falsehood. And the documents, if you go to the Ministry of Defense, call for PIU minutes and documents, you'll be finished with them. And then you can speak to the truth and not to just throw out anything in there. I disagree with what you're saying. This is palpable falsehood.
All right.
It is never true.
Mr. Mankwamenu
at the ministry will speak for themselves.
Right. Mr. Mankwamenu and Dr. Ken.
You went there 2021, 2022. We also went there.
Get a record. I have told you.
We also went there.
A consultant to the project. Also, for me, these things are not rocket science. You can easily lay your hands on them.
All right, gentlemen, let's make progress, because, I think the bigger concern for the everyday Ghanaian is the health of whether the ability to get good health care if there need be. And I'm sure both of you agree that it is important that we get the hospital operationalized. So I'll start with you, Mr. Mankwamenu. You just left office. The accusation is that very little to nothing was done under the 8-year tenure of the NPP, which you have refuted to say that at least you visited the hospital and some parts of the projects were being undertaken. Talk us through what the next steps should be and how we can get the hospital operationalized for our compatriots.
So, thank you very much. Let me correct you. I think that when we took over, the MPP took over in 2017, the project stood at 40% complete, and that's a fact. But let's put that aside. As I already told you, in September of 2024, the contractor was asked to submit a plan for sectional handover so that the facility could become operational. All the contractor said, in fact, he said that, well, it's then left with small things. But the only thing that we need to fix for it to be operational, which for me, when he was right, was the sewage system. And I am saying that was something, because look, my constituency share border with the constituency in which the hospital is located. And so for me, it was a home for me. I used to visit there almost every weekend to see the progress of work. And so, yes, it is my wish and it is my prayer that we finish with these hospitals to serve the health needs of not only the members of the Ghana Armed Forces or Ashanti region, but the entire country. It's important we do that.
Right.
And so, for me, I believe that indeed we need to have this thing finished, and the contractor must follow through and give us a plan for the sectional handover.
Okay.
Because if we don't do that, at the end of the day, we will talk NDC, we will talk MPP, but at the end of the day, trust me, who benefits?
Yeah, that's...
The Ghanaian people will not be the beneficiary at the end of the day.
That's
so it
true.
is important that we ask the contractor to do that which he needs to do. I can confidently tell you, and this is as right knowledge, that any time there are elections and you have contractors, they always wait to see where the political pendulum will swing. And then they will jump in with some outrageous demand.
So is it the same contractor that the NPP...
That having said, as the chairman for the project implementation committee, I still maintain that the figure of $85 million is outrageous. First of all, my colleague must understand that this project was a project.
I think that is also coming. I think
all
you're
right,
talking long.
right, Mr. Amankwamenu. Now let's hear. So you say 85 is outrageous. So how much, in your estimation, should be needed to complete it now?
So far as I am concerned, and per our records, 500,000. But if even I cannot sit here and tell you that 85 million, I maintain that is outrageous. Looking at where we are coming from and looking at what is being done.
Okay, now let me bring in...
assessment will have to be done.
Exactly.
And if my brother cares to know, you don't accept a figure thrown at you by a contractor without proper assessment. My brother should know that.
Okay.
He's a very good doctor.
Dr. Nawani.
He should know that.
So he has also put out a position...
The claim? Hell no.
And sought to justify that.
It's very unfortunate that somebody who directly supervised the project is still speaking like this. And I'm saying it because the contractors have lost confidence in the government of Ghana. And that's why we have this project not completed. I don't think that they are that poor to even look for $100 million to complete this project. But if we get people speaking like this, telling not the truth, knowing very well that one city stand, which they destroyed at the port, it costs between 1 million and 5 million, and saying that it's 500,000 that we need to complete the hospital, that is unfortunate. It's woefully just unfortunate.
Right.
What I want to say is this: they couldn't do it in 8 years. They better keep quiet, and we will enter into negotiations with them. Let us build confidence with the contractors, and let them listen to us. That NDC will be ready to look for money to complete the project for the good people of Ashanti region and for the good people of the Ghana Armed Forces.
All right. And in conclusion, briefly for you, Dr. Ket, how much is government anticipating, or what's the estimated amount needed now to at least operationalize the hospital?
What we need now is an agreement and then payment schedule and some amount of money to advance to them to go to site and ensure that they complete the project. This is the way that the NDC wants to go, because they have proven beyond doubt that one CT scan will not cost 500,000, and one MRI, which they all got spoiled because of the weather, will not cost 500,000.
Okay.
That amount of money is absolutely not true.
I think that my brother...
Why did they not send them to court? Why did they not send them to court when they did not complete in 8 years? They know when they go to court. They don't
understanding and appreciating the fact that the contract was a 10-key project. My brother, if a contract is a 10-key project, it is a 10-key project. when the amount is paid, the
contract when you order them to go and do forensic auditing and get them out of sight.
That is not happening
for 3 years. That time you were not even there. You came in 2021.
Of course. But at least I can read and understand.
And at the end of it, you did not
understand issues.
Find any corruption. If you had found something against them, the government would have gone to court.
I'm sorry.
But you don't find anything wrong. So who caused the insurance to get destroyed? The equipment to get destroyed.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure having this conversation with both of you, and I'm happy that the consensus is that we need to get the hospital up and running.
Frankly, that is what everybody wants.
But we also need to be sure that there is always value for money and proper audits done. So we do not.
What we are saying.
We do not.
That is what we are saying.
Play political football with projects like this. But thank you very much, Dr. Nawani.
No, but they better keep quiet so that we'll implement it. We'll make sure that we'll get the hospital running. They couldn't do it for 8 years.
And we will be vigilant.
8 good years. They couldn't do it.
Quiet, my brother. We won't keep quiet.
They did not go to court either. If they had any case, they should have gone to court.
We will speak our minds. We will never be quiet. Trust me on this.
Fair point, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and then also let's look forward to a good game between the Black Stars and Panama tomorrow. And so, yes, gentlemen, for our listeners, the bottom line of all this conversation is to ensure that the hospital is operationalized. And it has become topical because of what happened a few weeks ago, where the Confanochi Teaching Hospital, the biggest referral hospital in the northern part, in fact, the middle to the northern part of the country, had concerns about, lack of beds and lack of space for patients who are brought into the accident and emergency ward. And because of that, the fact that that big hospital did not have enough space to accommodate people who came in with different medical situations, especially the accident and emergency situations, they were then asked to shut down. That particular department of the hospital was shut down, and it led to a political storm, back and forth between some members of parliament and people of the various political divide. And as we speak, we are being told that if the Afari Military Hospital and the Sewa government hospital were operationalized or were working, we wouldn't have had the kind of situation we had in the at the Confanochi Teaching Hospital. So we definitely would want these two major health facilities in the Ashanti region up and running, so that when either of these members of parliament will just spoke to any politician or any Ghanaian needs medical attention, they will be able to assess it as quickly as possible. You're listening to 3FM 92.7. Your comments are always welcome. Thank you that you're listening to us on our streams and watching as well on YouTube and on Facebook. Do send us your messages. We'll be happy to share it with the rest of the world. When we return from this quick break, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be taking a quick trip to the United States of America and then also to Canada. But in the Americas, we are going to be talking about Ken Ofori-Attah, the former finance minister, who, based on information we are gathering, has been given the permission to stay in the U.S. He has gotten a U.S. immigration permit to stay there. Whereas Ghana is looking for him to come and stand trial or answer questions, the U.S. says he can stay there. But the OSP that instituted charges against Ken Ofori-Attah has also waded into the conversation. We'll break it all down for you in a moment. Stay with us. This is 3FM. You're listening to Hot Edition.
Every woman deserves hair that looks
This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition live from our studio here at Adisawe Kanda in Accra. Now let's go to the United States of America. And information we gathered earlier today has to do with the fact that the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Attah, has been granted the permission to initiate steps to seek permanent residence in the United States of America. There are reactions to that. But first of all, let's bring you what exactly the background of the story is. Joining me in studio now is Wisdom Safo. He's with our research team here at Media General. Wisdom, thank you for your time. First of all, there is a general knowledge about Ken Ofori-Attah staying in the U.S. He's gone to court. He's trying to prevent an extradition application that Ghana has made. But what is the latest regarding Ken Ofori-Attah that we are hearing today?
Martin, we started 2026 with an arrest notice. So on 6 January 2026, Ken Ofori-Attah was arrested by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and held at the Caroline Detention Facility in Virginia. So by 26 February 2026, the OSP, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, told court in Ghana that 2 U.S. processes were running, one on immigration related and another one connected to Ghana's former extradition request. We know that this extradition request was done in the late part of 2025, around December. And on 7th April 2026, Ken Ofori-Attah was released from the ICE detention on bail. And reports said that the U.S. court wanted to see Ghana's extradition request before treating him as a flight risk. And by 15 June, he was actually scheduled to appear virtually. Virtually means online or on Zoom or Skype, before the Annandale Immigration Court in Virginia in relation to his humanitarian grounds. And this is where Ofori-Attah comes in. So he applied as an asylee or seeking refugee, status at the U.S. or through a special program. U.S., they have something we call the VAWA or the U visa or a special immigration. So it is a form that you fill if you want to apply for a green card. But initially, he was labeled as someone, a fugitive of justice. So there were issues around his permanent residency. So today, that issue has been cleared. So let me continue reading. 1485 petition has been granted by the U.S. Immigration Court. The court heard evidence relating to actions taken by Ghana's Office of the Special Prosecutor, including the OSP's earlier decision to declare Mr. Ofori-Attah as a fugitive for justice at a time when he was reportedly undergoing medical treatment in the United States of America, and while his lawyers remained in communication with the investigators in Ghana. So the court finds criminal charges in Ghana not credible. However, the court's ruling was made within the context of a United States immigration proceedings. The court's decision was focused on whether Mr. Ofori-Attah met the legal requirements for adjustment of status. So the OSP has responded to this release by the lawyers of Mr. Ofori-Attah. The OSP responded that any U.S. immigration ruling does not clear him of the Ghana's charges and does not end the extradition process. So the OSP is saying that the extradition packet was not before the immigration court in the U.S. and that only Ghanaian courts can determine the credibility of the criminal charges. So in a nutshell, he has been granted permission to apply for the green card, yet the extradition process is still pending on him.
Right, and so as we speak, it is let's for purposes of clarity and understanding, so all our listeners and those who are following this story are on the same page. What has happened to Ken Ofori-Attah is not that he's been granted permanent residence. He's actually been given the opportunity to now apply to be given a green card, which makes you more or less a permanent citizen. And coincidentally for him, like you indicated, because he's already in the U.S. and was arrested for immigration violations, they are considering all of these issues to say that, okay, well, you are needed in your country. But if you look closely at the OSP's statement, the OSP is also making a strong argument that what we are hearing and the permission granted Ken Ofori-Attah to seek permanent residence in the U.S. has nothing to do with a substantive case.
No.
And then also, it does not mean that he cannot be brought back into Ghana to continue or to start at least standing trial. There are arguments about why the OSP wouldn't want to start the trial in absentia. That has come up very often anytime this subject is being discussed. But the OSP says that it is only a Ghanaian court that can determine whether Ken Ofori-Attah has flouted the law or not another country. So thank you for that clarity you've brought to these conversations, Wisdom Sappho's with our research team here at Media General. And then also for many of you who've been following this, your thoughts on it are welcome. I've seen the likes of a former member of parliament for, I forget the constituency, Ras Mubarak, that is, saying, for instance, that for Kumbungu, yes, former member of parliament for Kumbungu, he is saying that Ghana should not henceforth allow any extradition between Ghana and the U.S. if they allow Ken Ofori-Attah to permanently stay in the United States. Ghana should do same and not probably terminate or suspend the extradition agreement between Ghana and the U.S. Many reactions have come up as a result of Ken Ofori-Attah's, latest twist in the tale of whether or not he's going to be coming to Ghana for treatment. And the immigration court in the U.S. also relied on an argument that Ken Ofori-Attah's lawyers made, which is that Ken Ofori-Attah was in the U.S. and was seeking medical attention and had agreed to follow due process of the trial which had commenced in Ghana, or at least the fact that he'd been dragged to court. His lawyers said that he would come and attend to the courts and go through the legal process. However, whilst he was even in the U.S. seeking medical attention, the OSP went ahead to report him and even placed him on the wanted list of Interpol. So they thought that the Ghanaian authorities had, pushed beyond reasonable limits in their efforts to get Ken Ofori-Attah back into the Ghanaian jurisdiction. So they believe all of those things inure or show that Ken is not going to be treated fairly if he returns to Ghana, for which reason Ken is pushing hard to stay in the U.S. Would he come or wouldn't he? That conversation I'm sure we'll be having in the coming days when we get further clarity on the next steps regarding this issue. You're listening to 3FM 92.7. This is Hot Edition. We're going on to some other stories we have for you this evening, which has to do with another trip abroad. So we have just come back from the U.S., but let's fly to Canada now. And I'm sure for all Ghanaians who are following the World Cup and the Black Stars, their interest is in our deputy captain, Thomas Partey. Would he join the Black Stars in Canada ahead of our crucial Group L opener in Toronto? Joining us in studio now is one of the key voices we've been hearing both on 3FM. In fact, he brings you the commentary on 3FM, and then also he is with our sports desk here at Media General. Murtala Mohammed, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Charlie, Thomas Partey, the latest we have heard is that the case was in court.
Yeah.
Please run us through what happened in court and what is the latest regarding that.
Thomas Partey's case was in court. The Foreign Affairs Ministry, headed by Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, together with the Minister for Sports and Recreation, Honorable Kofi Adams, said they were going to file an appeal at the Canadian Embassy to ensure that Thomas Partey is granted visa so that he can enter Canada. Now, the appeal looks like he wasn't really, paid to, or they didn't hit to the appeal, so it needed to go to the court where it needed to be settled. And Ghana said they were going to pursue multiple avenues to ensure that Partey is granted a visa to enter Canada. Now, today the case was sat on, so the case was named Thomas Partey versus MCI. That is the Minister of Immigration in Canada. And the funny thing is that Thomas Partey could not be present in court to answer some of the questions, so he was represented by two lawyers. Now, the main case that the Canadians are putting forward is what is written in their immigration and restriction laws. That has to do with the fact that if somebody has committed a crime or has been convicted, then that person cannot apply for visa to enter Canada. Now, Partey's lawyers are saying that no, he's not been convicted of any crime. He is still in court. And even in the UK, where the matter or the issue happened, he's been granted visas to travel in and out of the UK, same as America. Then the Canadian lawyer came back and said, okay, when Partey was filling the form to apply for the American visa to be part of the World Cup, did he reveal to the American embassy authorities that he had a pending case? Then Partey's lawyer was like, no, the form was filled by a third party, not Partey. Usually it's done by the Ghana Football Association, so they fill it on behalf of the players. But there's a consent that comes with it, because the players would have to sign the final form before it goes to the embassy. So that was missing. So, I mean, the Canadian lawyer is saying that once Thomas Partey signed the final form, it means he has given consent to everything that is on the form. So, I mean, you cannot use ignorance to say that because you didn't fill the form, then you have no idea, or you couldn't
add that information.
Yeah, you didn't add that information that you have a pending case. So they had to go on a recess about 15 minutes, came back. The judge looked at the case again and said, okay, they'll deliver a verdict. But as it stands, we are being told that the case is done. I mean, the both have argued out their cases, and in the next few hours, we could have a judgment on it, whether Thomas Partey would be allowed to enter Canada. Now, one of the argument Thomas Partey's lawyer is also making is that he's coming to just play football. Exactly. And it will be less than 24 hours. He wouldn't even sleep there, because we are being told right after the game, the Black Stars would have to move back to their camp in the US. So that is the argument they are making now, that they would want him to sign a bond. They should bring a bond they would sign, and they would be of good behavior in that short period, and would return right after that game. So, I mean, it's getting interesting, but we are going to get more on this, and we are being told maybe in a few hours' time we'll get the final verdict.
Well, Murtala, that's a comprehensive breakdown of what has transpired today between, the lawyers for Thomas Partey, indirectly representing the Black Stars, and then also the Canadian Immigration and Customs officers. So, as we stand, like he said, we just have to keep our fingers crossed.
And there's one thing I need to add. Thomas Partey has not been convicted. Absolutely. But the MCI is saying that they do not need a conviction before they make a judgment. So it brings back the question of, so all it has to take is somebody coming out to accuse you of, committing a crime against them. Yeah. Whether you are guilty or not, whether the case is still in court, Canada says you can't enter. That
would be stretching the remit of, the concept of innocent until proven guilty. But there has not been any proof that Thomas is guilty. And in fact, he has already, and the legal terms, he has already put in a not guilty plea. So that should also influence whatever decision will be taken at the end of the day. But Ghana, the Foreign Affairs Minister, like you indicated, said that we respect the sovereignty of Canada and their right to refuse or
and that goes a long way to say to buttress what FIFA President Infantino says. He says that yes, they are the organizers of the World Cup, but they do not have rights over what a country wants to do in terms of their immigration laws. Thomas Partey's two lawyers also made an argument that there are so many musicians and actresses who are in similar situation, have been accused, still in court, but they've been allowed into Canada and out as well, with some restrictions also being in place. So Thomas Partey should be allowed.
I think we need to call a spade a spade. Canada is probably just biting more than it can chew, or putting up a grandstand. The country in which Partey was accused. He has been there a number of times.
He travels back.
He's been to other European countries
several times. He's now in Spain, based in Spain.
So Canada, I think, is just pushing the argument too much. And I heard at the latter part of the arguments, they are saying that if it does come out that Partey is not guilty. And he applies for compensation because of the stress they put him through, the Canadian authorities say that payment would have to come from the UK. Does that mean it is the UK that told Canada to do what they are doing? And is it because of football underhand dealings?
If we want to connect the dots, because we are playing against I mean, England. Maybe they have a hand in this. And have you seen the commentary going on? I mean, in the press, when it comes to the UK press, they are very loud on the Thomas Partey issue. The Athletic, for instance, wrote an article where they even branded him a pedophile because he was training with kids.
Children.
And they were telling mothers to take their kids away from Thomas Partey. It looks like it's a general scheme to get into Partey, said destabilize the Black Stars, but let's see how it goes.
That is my personal prayer for Thomas Partey, that, you know, the team should be able to coalesce around him to help him focus. Because give whatever happens, let's say he doesn't even get to go to Canada, and we win against Panama, and then we come to the US. That game against US will lie.
Against England,
I say that game against England, we will all go to the US, and that day they will see something over there.
Well, let's see, but he's in good spirits, and we are hoping to have some favorable outcome at the end of the day.
Thank you very much, Murtala Mohammed, for that update from the development around Thomas Partey and the Black Stars. And we are told that they have also arrived, are in good spirit. They've had some sessions, you know, of interactions, and then hopefully tomorrow around this time they should be preparing, heading to the stadium where they will be locking horns with Panama, which will be Ghana's first game at the 2026 World Cup, currently being hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada. A lot of drama is playing out. I'm sure many of you who are following the World Cup would have seen the exploits of other African countries like Cape Verde. Also, we saw Egypt pulling a draw. We've seen the likes of Tunisia losing, and just by virtue of their defeat, they've sacked their coach and employed Javier Renard. That is, Tunisia have employed Javier Renard to take them through the rest of the tournament. And in about an hour or two, so 7 p.m. will be the kickoff. The current African champions, I believe, Senegal, will be facing their colonial masters, France. And that is a game many people are looking forward to. It will be live on TV3. There will be live commentary on 3FM as well. And we would also be interacting on social media. Do be a part of the show. Let's hear what you make of all the big stories we've brought to you this evening. And then also the fact that Senegal will be playing France. The sports team will be here to take you through the commentary. That's it for our package this evening. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Martin Esiedudati. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Have a good evening.